Hope you're doing well. And this week for the Bug Scope, welcome. I wanted to share my experience of going moth collecting yesterday with my coworker here at the museum at the Academy of Natural Sciences in Philadelphia. My coworker, who's the collection manager on a regular basis each year, has this tradition of going out and collecting Hemiluca maya, which is this moth right here from one of his collection sites in New Jersey. Hello, happy Halloween, Frank. And hello to everybody who might be joining us from Facebook, from Twitch, or from YouTube. And I'll be able to see your comments. They all get aggregated onto Haps. And if you want to as well, you can join us here on Haps too. So you can see all the comments that you might otherwise not see on the other platforms. Hi, David. How are you? Yeah, so I need to adjust my camera to make it point down a little bit more because it'll make it easier to show you these specimens. All right, I'm using a different lens from last week or the other 2 weeks ago. How's that? Is that too low? If it's too low, maybe I can hunker down. 1 sec. Try that. I think that's good. Cool. Yeah, they have a really beautiful coloration situation. And so yeah, they are an interesting species. They're one of the Saturniid moths, so related to one of my favorite moths, the Io moth. I'll hold this up as I talk about them. Oops, the glare away. Related to Io moths and Luna moths and that group of moths that tend to have really fuzzy bodies, and they oftentimes, and in this case with the Io moth, they don't have mouths as adults. They don't need them. Once they emerge, they find their mate, they mate, and then the female goes off and lays eggs. So they don't sustain themselves as adults, and they overwinter. In this case, these ones overwinter in egg form, which is interesting because many of the other Saturniids, hold it like this. Many of the other Saturniids, for example, Luna moths, and many of them do overwinter here on the east coast of the USA, of North America. Many of them do overwinter as pupa underground or wrapped in leaves and silk in the trees or twigs. But these ones overwinter as eggs in a ring around oak twigs. But when I say twigs, I feel like a common thought of twig, at least for me, I think of a twig as being like a skinny stick on the ground. But I'm talking about like living branches laying their eggs on a living part of a tree, just twig size. Hi, David Dunn. How are you? Is the one on the top right with reduced wings? Asks David Howden. And oh yeah, this one. Sometimes things go wrong during during metamorphosis, and so this one. Let's get the focus going. I'll hide behind the drawer so that my camera focuses. Yeah, that one has super tiny wings, so something must have gone wrong, some sort of imbalance in the directions on how to grow. That actually, when that happens with the moths, which it's not that common, but it happens, it makes me think of the caterpillar in the movie A Bug's Life, which when it pupates and turns into an adult butterfly, it has like the tiniest little wings and still looks like a caterpillar. So yeah. Oh, surprise, David. So these are moths. Yeah, Saturniid moths do tend to look like caterpillars. So one thing that, hello, Dan, this is not a replay. This is live. So hi. Going back to the life cycle, Frank is asking, do the eggs get along with freezing temperatures or do they need protected places? They get along with the freezing temperatures. They're not really protected by much, I guess, except for their egg capsules. So I'm guessing they have some sort of antifreeze in their setup. No problem. It can be confusing sometimes when watching live broadcasts to know when things are live and when things are not live. Yeah. So yeah. All right. So yesterday I went with my coworker. I'll share this picture. I'm gonna share this story of going collecting with him. Oh, so, and he asked me like a little while ago, like, "Hey Isa, you want to come looking for Hemileukemia moths with me? They'll probably emerge sometime in mid/late-ish October." And he was checking the weather because they're very weather dependent. So the thing about insects is that they here he is. Here's my coworker Jason Weintraub with his net, and we were walking down this road in the Pine Barrens of New Jersey, walking up and down looking for these Hemileukemia moths crossing the road, or flying along down the road. Because what happens is they're synchronized by the weather. Once fall comes around and the temperature plummets at nighttime, but then there's still some nice days in the during daytime. It's nice and warmish and there's some sun. That's when these moths, they're in there. Until then, they're in their pupal form, underground. They're synchronized when the ground temperature gets to be a certain temperature to rise up and emerge out and to find each other. And sort of like the cicadas, the periodical cicadas, where the ground temperature needed to be a certain warmth coming from freezing temperatures and rising up to warm temperatures in order for them to be synchronized to come out from the ground and find mates. In this case, the ground temperature is going from a higher temperature down to a lower temperature, and then they all like know, okay, time to emerge from my pupa and go find a mate. So, hey, Car, Hunger Creative, welcome to the broadcast. Hello from Philadelphia. Yeah, so David is asking, are the males and females similar? I know some of this group have sexual dimorphism. Yeah, so here, well, okay. They don't really have much of a difference between the male and the female. And I'll take two specimens out to show you side by side. One moment. All right, I will put away the collection photo for now, and I will take out two specimens to show. Okay. I'll do this one too. All right, so, oops, here are a couple of specimens. No, don't look at me, camera. Focus on our specimens here. Oh, wait, you can do it, camera. Here. There we go. All right, so, they look pretty much the same. So one difference that you'll see though is the antennae on the female are thinner because they're not the ones searching for their mate. They're really just searching for food. This is very typical in moths, where the male has much more filamentous antenna or feathery antenna, and that helps create a lot of surface area for picking up on the female pheromone. And other than that, so the male is, let me see, this is a, yeah, so the male and the females are across from each other. So that's a male, and this is a female, and then this over here is a male at the top, and that's a female. And you'll also see a big cool coffee mug design. Yeah. You can also see that the tips of the abdomen have that orange sort of fluff, and it does look like the females don't have that coloration as much. So let me get the focus back here. Yeah, so the females are just more of like a pale blondish hair coloration at the tip, where the males are rather strikingly orange, reddish orange in coloration. I do want to share with you guys this one photo of one of them on the palm of my coworker's hand. And if you take a look, that does not look like these moths. The body of this moth has orange stripes, and you don't see that in the specimens that are pinned here. And this like really stood out to me yesterday when we were collecting because I was like, don't remember seeing that in the collection. And what it is that it just looks dark and uniform black on its abdomen when it's flying around and whatnot. But then when they get nervous or scared, they curl up into this defensive position that you see here on the palm of the hand. And that reveals the orange stripes and uh, is a form of defense to ward off potential prey, make any predators, and make the predators think twice, like, wait a second, is this edible? And so there you go. It's pretty cool. This is not super uncommon in the insect world and even the bird world for that matter. And I think even like reptiles and amphibians have hidden bright color patches like this too. For example, you'll also find bright hidden color patches on the hind legs of grasshoppers. So when they hop and they extend their back leg, like this sort of, they'll have a bright patch that gets revealed as they hop away from a predator. And I've also seen it in walking sticks in Borneo, and also in a caterpillar in Borneo, I saw it as well. And it's one of those things that, like, you're not always going to stumble upon unless the insect or animal that you're working with behaves in a particular way. So, um, beer count, Sal. Beer is a complicated thing. Sal is saying in the comments, I wish I had a deep understanding and passion for something like this. I support that. There's a lot that goes behind beer. All right. What else did I want to say? Hello, Shant, who's over on Twitch. Welcome. And David has got a moth coffee mug. Awesome. What moth is it that you have on your coffee mug? Out of curiosity. I also want to share for a moment. I'm taking a moment to share this divergence from our Hemileucomaya or buck moth broadcast to say that this upcoming Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday is the Anthological Collections Network. And here's a photo I took of the periodical cicadas here in the Academy of Natural Sciences collection, which is the cover of the program for the meeting. If you're interested in really diving into the collection world, you can join. It's only $20 for to join, or $5 if you're a student. And if money is an obstacle for you, you can let me know. And we don't want it to be money to be an obstacle for anybody joining, and so we can work with you about that. So I will share the link for this just in case anybody is interested. It also includes tours of entomology collections around the world. So if you are a fan of the bug scope, then I encourage you. I think that you'll really enjoy the symposium that's happening Tuesday afternoon. Afternoon is like Pacific time afternoon, so -8 GST, I think it is. And that's really interesting. We have collection tours that will be showing from Brazil, Denmark, I think it is, Canada, the USA, Australia, to name a few. So here, I'm putting the link in the chat, and I'll also put it on, make a note for it for our friends who are not with us here on HAPS, who might be on Twitch or on Facebook or on YouTube. So there you go. And also, yeah, this was a fun excuse to share this photo of a periodical cicada, and also just share what I love, collections, and this great opportunity to dive more into that world. And okay, back to the Hemileucomaya buck moth, though. One thing that I want to highlight with the buck moth. Oh, what about GST, David? David saying PDT equals, oh, GMT. Okay, I see, because we haven't fallen back. The time change hasn't occurred yet. So thank you for that clarification. Right. I can't wait until the world stops changing the time throughout the year and just keeps it steady. I mean, it's funny how that works. Not to diverge too much, but here's my pitch for stopping daylight savings time and switching the hours. And that's that it used to be applicable because people would be busy working during the daylight hours. And so that helped save and make the most of the daylight. But now that we have electricity, people work whatever hours they want to work. So, and it's not dependent on daylight. So, if anything, I want more daylight in the evening or the morning when I am not at work. So, my little pitch for that. All right. And yeah, here we go as well. I'll present this on screen as a PSA that the time change back for the US, as David is sharing with us, is the first Sunday in November. Thank goodness it's after this meeting because that can get confusing sometimes. Yeah, I think that changing the clocks is completely outdated. I also think that museum hours ought to be switched to evening times or times when people are not at work, basically. I think that's also a very old model for when families, yeah, I think it's also an old model because so many families have two working adult members, and so they're not even going to get out and have an opportunity until after work or after school. And so I do think that museums and other public institutions or like public serving institutions ought to make a shift or like have some days be during the day and other days to be during the evening focus and that sort of thing. So yeah. The difference in the time changes between the USA and yeah, and Europe or other parts of the world can be super confusing when you have international meetings and you don't realize that one location has switched their times and the other location has not switched them yet. All right. Well, I'm going to get back to our topic now. And back to the moth. I'm going to go to this picture because I just love this picture of it. This is a photo that it's staged. We caught the moth, then we put it on the branch because I wanted a picture of the moth like on its host plant, which is oak. So this is where you'll find the rings of dozens of eggs that they lay. And shortly after they lay the eggs, they pass away. They're very fast moths as well. They're super fuzzy, which is fun. And oh yeah, and I wanted to also acknowledge that while other types of moths, oftentimes like the Luna moths and imperial moths, other large giant wild silk moths, they have about 2 generations per year, 2 life cycles. These only have 1, and that's because they are dependent on the changing temperatures to unify them so that they're synchronized. And because of that, they are really affected by climate change because as the climate changes and things warm up, they'll be shifting when they emerge. But one thing that's very cool too is that they emerge sort of in like a ripple down the latitude. So while they're emerging here now, they are emerging in Georgia not until like mid-November. So if anyone ever wants to do like a insect sampling or viewing or spectating marathon for Hemileucomaya, you could plan a camping trip around moving down the eastern coast as the different populations along the coast from Michigan all the way down through Florida emerge. I think that could be fun to do. Yeah. So, oh yeah, let's talk about when they are larvae. And I'll just hold up the drawer for that. Okay, so we have that picture of them as an adult. And here is, okay. So here's what their larvae look like. And if you take a look, you'll notice a bunch of spikes on their body. And those aren't just for show. They do contain venom. Oh, and we also have some egg examples. That's fantastic. Let me see if I can get the depth of field at a good level here. Or maybe I'll just hold up the specimen to the camera. Let's see. Oh, awesome. I didn't really notice that before I brought the drawer up. Yeah. This is awesome. Cool. This is why collections are so great. Well, all the examples we need are right here to get a good glimpse and understanding of the biology and the different parts of the cycle. Okay. So I just took out a sampling. Okay. So now we have the complete life cycle. Oops. On the screen. And yes, there's a parasitoid in there too. So at the top, here, let me try to study it. At the top, you can see that twig of oak with all the eggs on it. So you can see how it makes a whole loop around the twig. Not all moths will do that. That's pretty unique. Not something that I'm super, well, I don't know how unique it is, but oftentimes it seems to be like a smear of egg masses, not necessarily all the way around. Okay, and then lower down, you can see some of the caterpillars. These are inflated, traditional old way of preserving caterpillars. The modern day way is by popping them in alcohol. And then you can see a pupa too. And yeah, those are venomous. It's not like they're coming out to get you. If you see them, the spikes on their body are just like a passive defense. So if you brush up against them, you're gonna get stung. But as long as you leave them alone, then you're fine. It can crawl on your finger too, and you'd be fine. You just don't want to accidentally brush up against them. It's almost in a way. I wonder if anyone studied this. It's almost like they're giving their plant thorns. Maybe I wonder if there's any sort of protection that they give the plant they're eating, even though they're eating their host plant. But then maybe if something brushes up against them, I don't know. But I guess if you tried to eat it, you'd get a bunch of venom in your tongue. So that's a very good, I'd say, very good deterrent. I would not want to eat something that injured my tongue in such a way. Okay. And yes, there is a parasitoid in here too, as often might happen in collections. If someone is rearing a insect, like typically moths and butterflies get reared, sometimes it's not always the moth or butterfly that emerges, but try to get it in focus. But it might be a fly, like this one here. Sorry, it's not getting in focus. Let's see if one more time, one more try. It's one little speck, so it's hard for the camera to know where to focus. There we go. It's kind of in focus there. All right, well, you can get the gist. It looks like a typical fly. I don't know what type of fly it is. Probably a tachinid. Tachinid has a lot of parasites in it, that family of flies. And it was not identified here, but hopefully someone will identify it one day. All right, I'm gonna put these back. So yeah, yeah, we were able to catch 12 of these moths yesterday, which was rather exciting. I think the populations are doing really well, because there were just so many of them, so many flying by, and they're so fast too. And I definitely realized that next time I go collecting, I want to wear a hat, because when I was running down with the net demo, hi Peter, how's it going? When I was running with my net down the road, as I passed by like as I ran through the patches of light. So once again, this is what the road looked like. As I ran through the patches of light and like the sunlight hit my eyes and then it went away from my eyes and then hit my eyes, it really affected my ability to keep my eye on the target, keep my eye on the moth. And so next time I'll wear a hat because it'll help prevent that from happening. I think it'll be very helpful. Something that I never really realized before, but it's now on my list of gear for when I go to Borneo so that I can take that newly found helpful technique or avoidant, that useful piece of clothing with me. So yeah, let me think. Do I have any other photos to share with you guys on this topic? Let me see. Maybe I can, I'll try to share this movie that I have of it. Not sure it's gonna work. Because I usually have to convert my videos to MP4s before. It worked. Awesome. Okay. Turn down the volume. Okay. Here we go. Yeah, so here's my attempt at catching one while recording. It was pretty much impossible, but you can see it flying. Do you guys, I don't know if you can see it flying, but you can see it flying across the sky here. Very slow, kind of a little tiny speck. It's not that big on the screen. But they just zoom around looking for their mate before any of the other guys can get to her. And it's a pretty exciting scene, very happening. Oh, and here's another video I can share from the ground. I was thinking of maybe putting together a polished and edited and whatnot YouTube video about Hamiluka Maya. Something that I'm interested in doing. All right, I don't know if this video is working too. Awesome. All right. All right, one more video. All right, maybe not. It looks dark. Oh well. Yeah, so I thought there was a bird. Yeah, they're pretty big. And there were some birds on the ground that were hopping around. I was wondering if the birds might be eating them, but I did not see any birds chasing the moths. And oftentimes you will see that happening. It's really fun to watch birds fly and try to chase moths around. And moths are really good at evading. I mean, that's what they have to do to survive. So the millions of years they've been evolving on this planet, they've like really got evasive techniques down. And even for me, when trying to catch these moths, I was most effective. It was easiest when I just kind of all of a sudden went after it instead of running down and chasing it down. 'Cause I think that once a moth or butterfly sees you coming after it, it's ready. It's prepared to evade. It's more ready than if you suddenly surprise them. It was a good exercise also to chase them up and down the road in the Pine Barrens of New Jersey. So let me see if there's any other media to share. Oh, I can't share my live photos, but that's good to know for the future. Yeah, I think that's it. But yeah, it was very, very cool moth. Very, very pretty. And it's actually kind of funny because the common name is a buck moth because I was just trying to figure out how to say what I'm about to say in the right way. The common name is a buck moth, and I like have a bad association with the name Buck. So at first I didn't really like that name or that idea, but then I'm like now that I know the reason behind the name Buck for the moth, it's because deer, but buck, they're often seen around the time that these moths are seen. This is helping me reassociate the word buck in a positive manner. So yay. All right. You need to disguise yourself as a moth. Yes. Actually, one thing that we are gonna try, that we do want to try. So actually, because it's the males looking for the females, we caught 12 of them yesterday, and they are all males. Because the females, they literally just crawl up and sit there, release their pheromone passively. They're not, and then the males come find them. So it's a lot harder to get a female than it is to get a male. But we're hoping to get females because we want to rear them. We want to raise them from egg to caterpillar to adult. And then Jason and I, my coworker and I, were talking about how fun it will be if we're able to get some females to hatch, and then we'll bring them out there and see how many males come to try to visit the female that we bring out there. It'd probably be dozens and dozens, like, I don't know, like 40 or 50, I bet you, because there's so many of these moths out there. But yeah, it'd be fun to try that out. Yeah. So yeah, I'll have to wear black and orange stripes. It's very Halloweeny actually. So good for the season. Black, white, Halloween colors. It works out well. Yeah, so there's a bunch of other species of Hemiluca, like the ones you can see here. So I may as well introduce some of them before signing off today. Or we can take a look at them at least, because I'm not like super familiar with them. Focus, camera, don't look at me. There we go. Yeah, so these ones up in the corner are from Glacier National Park. And where else? These ones are from Glacier National Park, collected in 1922 in August. And then this one says S-I, this one says SISSON, Colorado. Oh, okay, Colorado. I think, unless it says COL is collected. I think COL means collected, so I don't know where that one's from. Dade, Florida, a Floridian one down here. Florida. And then Utah, a bunch of different places. So New Jersey, oh yeah, Hemiluca Maya. So yeah. All right, that's our insight of the week. I think my favorite thing about them, what's your favorite thing about them? My favorite thing about them is how the abdomen curls and reveals those orange bands. I just think that's so cool. And I'll bring up that picture so we can see it too. Oops. Do it that way. There we go. I just love the way that's revealed, and it's surprising. I didn't expect that. So I'm not in Georgia right now. Yes, nearly, that one that was collected is nearly 100 years old. That's like probably the typical age for the specimens in the collection here at the Academy of Natural Sciences. I'm not in Georgia right now. I'm at the museum, but I'm going back to Georgia tomorrow, and I'm curious about finding the Hemiluca Maya, the buck moths that emerge in Georgia when I'm there in mid-November. So yeah, it is a neat trick. Let me see if I can find the one from the stick bug to show while we're on the topic of revealing hidden colors. Not sure how to look it up on my computer. Oh, here it is. Actually, yeah, it's right here. I have it. I think I have it here really easy to show because I shared this on my Instagram, I believe. So in related news, here is a stick bug that is from Borneo that has this blue color that I only came across once we picked it up. And then it was like, get off of me. And it revealed this blue warning coloration. It was super cool to come across. And there was a caterpillar that we saw there that did the same thing. This, here, I'll show a picture of it beforehand. Here's a before picture. One moment. Wait, it didn't load. Let me try uploading again. Maybe an episode I can do sometime is how insects say, get away from me. Oh, here it is. Okay. Yeah, so here it is, just like hanging out on the forest floor. So you can see that there's no blue in sight. No blue to be seen. And then all of a sudden, bam, when it gets annoyed, it reveals the blue. And then here's another way that this walking stick also was like, get away from me. Right here. Oops. You can see the bubbling, frothing mouth of who knows what spit up and chemical. And thanks, David, for yeah. It took a bunch of doodling that I finally came across how I could make my name into a bug. Yeah, so spit up is something that a lot of insects do. From these walking sticks, and grasshoppers do it too. They'll spit up this black stuff. I don't know. I'm like super. I've never looked into like the chemical contents of the spit up of bugs, but I'm sure it varies a lot. And yes, there's a blue collar bug. Okay, let's go back to that and share your comment because it's a good one. Cool. All right. Well, I'm going to head out now. Thanks, guys, for joining and exploring the Hemiluca Maya buck moth with me today. I hope that you have a great week. Let me flip back to what our topic was picture-wise. I hope that you have a great week, and if you are on the East Coast, keep your eye out for Hemiluca Maya. And if you are elsewhere in the world, maybe you have something similar where you are. I'm not sure, but maybe David Howden would know for Europe. Did I say the name for this one with the collar? I don't have a name beyond walking stick, or Phasmatodea is the scientific name for walking stick. So not yet. So yeah, thanks guys for joining today. Have a great week and catch you soon. Cheers.